Okay, now we continue. This is the second night talk on the Samyutta Nikaya, topically grouped discourses. We had the first Samyutta, Devata, Samyutta, and yesterday we finished 1.19. So today we start with 1.20, the 20th Sutta in the first Samyutta, Samidhi Sutta. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the hot spring spark. Then the Venerable Samidhi, having risen at the first flush of dawn, went to the hot springs to bathe. Having bathed in the hot springs and come back out, he stood in one robe, drying his limbs. Then, when the night had advanced, a certain Devata of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire hot springs, approached the Venerable Samidhi. I stop here for a while. This one, when the night had advanced, normally it would mean like the middle watch. The night in the suttas is divided into 3 watch. The first watch is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The second watch is 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and the third watch is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So when the night had advanced, would probably be after the first watch. First watch in Chinese is called Chu Fen Ye. Having approached, she stood in the air and addressed the Venerable Samidhi in verse. You notice here, this one is a Devi. And she said, without having enjoyed, you seek alms, monk. You don't seek alms after you have enjoyed. First enjoy, monk, then seek alms. Don't let the time pass you by. And Venerable Samidhi said, I do not know what the time might be. The time is hidden and cannot be seen. Hence, without enjoying, I seek alms. Don't let the time pass me by. I stop here for a moment to explain a bit. This Devi said, first enjoy, then seek alms. Don't let the time pass you by. What she means is the time of youth. Now you're young, you should enjoy. Enjoy sensual pleasures. And then he said, I don't know what the time might be. Now his time is different. When the Venerable Samidhi says, I don't know what the time might be, he means the time of death. Any time I might pass away. The time is hidden and cannot be seen. Hence, without enjoying, I seek alms. Don't let the time pass me by. In other words, the time for cultivation. Don't let the time for practice of the Dhamma pass me by before death comes. So his interpretation of time is different from the Devi. Then that Devata alighted on the earth and said to the Venerable Samidhi, you have gone forth while young, monk, a lad with black hair, endowed with the blessing of youth in the prime of life, without having dallied with sensual pleasures. Enjoy human sensual pleasures, monk. Do not abandon what is directly visible in order to pursue what takes time. And Venerable Samidhi said, I have not abandoned what is directly visible, friend, in order to pursue what takes time. I have abandoned what takes time in order to pursue what is directly visible. For the Blessed One, friend, has stated that sensual pleasures are time-consuming, full of suffering, full of despair, and the danger in them is still greater, while this Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, applicable to be personally experienced by the wise. I stop here again to explain. You see here, because this monk is young and probably very handsome, so the Devi has come to tempt him. Just like sometimes some young monks, when they stay alone, sometimes women also come to tempt them. And the reverse is also true. Sometimes nuns, during the Buddha's time, Initially, nuns, some of them stayed alone, and sometimes they also were tempted by some men, and sometimes raped by men or so. So here, the Devi said, you are young, enjoy sensual pleasures. Do not abandon what is directly visible to pursue what takes time. Probably what she means is what is directly visible is human sensual pleasures. Is visible for you to enjoy now. You want to pursue what takes time. That means you want to wait until you go to heaven and enjoy heavenly sensual pleasures. It's not necessary. She was trying to say. And the monk says that he has not abandoned what is directly visible, because he says that sensual pleasures are time consuming. Because sensual pleasures, if you enjoy sensual pleasures, there is no end to it. So we will be in the round of rebirths, and samsara is never ending, and that takes a lot of time. So that's what he means, that sensual pleasures are time consuming. But the Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, to be personally experienced by the wise. This one is when we chant, the Itipiso chant. We say Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanaiko Pachatang Veditabbo Vinyuhiti. This is the meaning, directly visible here and now, immediate. This is the results of cultivation of the holy path, practicing Sila, Samadhi and Panya. The results are immediately visible, and the Dhamma invites you to come and see, to be experienced personally by the wise. And then the Devi said, but how is it, monk, that the Blessed One has stated that sensual pleasures are time-consuming, full of suffering, full of despair, and the danger in them is still greater? How is it that this Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, applicable to be personally experienced by the wise? And Venerable Samyutta said, I am newly ordained, friend, not long gone forth, just recently come to this Dhamma Vinaya. I cannot explain it in detail, but that Blessed One, Arahant, Sammasambuddha, is dwelling at Rajagaha in the hot springs park. Approach that Blessed One and ask him about this matter. As he explains it to you, so should you remember it. And the Devi said, it isn't easy for us to approach that Blessed One, monk, as he is surrounded by other Devatas of great influence. If you would approach him and ask him about this matter, we will come along too in order to hear the Dhamma. Stop here a moment. So here the Devi is saying that the Buddha is frequently surrounded by powerful Devas and Devis, and she is not such a powerful Devi. She finds it difficult to approach the Buddha. And Venerable Samyutta replied, very well, friend. Then he approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and reported his entire discussion with that Devata, adding, if that Devata statement is true, Venerable Sir, then that Devata should be close by. When this was said, that Devata said to the Venerable Samyutta, ask monk, for I have arrived. You see, for the Venerable Samyutta to be able to see that Devi and talk to that Devi shows that he has already attained the fourth jhana. As the Buddha says, when a person has attained the fourth jhana, it's quite likely that that person can see Devas and Devis and talk to them. Then that Blessed One addressed that Devata in verse. Beings who perceive what can be expressed become established in what can be expressed. Not fully understanding what can be expressed, they come under the yoke of death. But having fully understood what can be expressed, one does not conceive one who expresses, for that does not exist for him by which one could describe him. If you understand, spirit, speak up. And the Devi said, I do not understand in detail Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated in brief by the Blessed One. Please, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One explain it to me in such a way that I might understand in detail the meaning of what he stated in brief. I stop here for a moment. You see, this Venerable Samyutta, like many of the monks, because the Buddha used to travel alone, the Dhamma they had heard is actually not so many suttas. Not like us. Actually, we are more lucky. We have many suttas available to us, and we can study the suttas, and we can know many suttas much more than even the Arahants during the Buddha's time. So even Arahants, sometimes when they were approached to teach the Dhamma, they say just the same thing. They know very little Dhamma. They cannot explain in detail because they actually have learned not many suttas. So in the same way, this Venerable Samyutta, he said that he does not know much Dhamma, asked the Devi to go and see the Buddha. Now the Buddha has spoken some Dhamma, and the Devi also finds it hard to understand. Even though heavenly being, they should have a higher intelligence, and yet they find it hard to understand. So here the Buddha says, beings who perceive what can be expressed become established in what can be expressed. What can be expressed is like what can be described. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the first sutta, the Buddha talks about people who conceive earth, water, fire, wind, I, mind, beings around us, gods, etc. And when the person conceives, then he has a feeling that I conceive. So that I arises, the I and mind. But here the Buddha says, those who perceive and don't understand, then they come under the yoke of death in the round of rebirths. But one who understands, then there is no one who expresses, there is no ego. So the Devi asked the Buddha to explain again, and the Buddha said, one who conceives I am equal, better or worse, might on that account engage in disputes or arguments. But one not shaken in the three discriminations does not think I am equal or better. If you understand spirit, speak up. And the Devi said, in this case too, Venerable Sir, I do not understand in detail what has been expressed in brief by the Buddha, by the Blessed One. Please, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One explain to me in such a way that I might understand in detail. So here the Buddha says, one who still has an I, he does not conceive that he is equal to others or better than others or worse than others, because he does not have that ego. And then the Buddha explained again, he abandoned reckoning, did not assume conceit, he cut off craving for name and form. Though devas and humans search for him here and beyond, in the heavens and all abodes, they do not find the one whose knots are cut, the one untroubled, free of longing. If you understand spirit, speak up. And finally the Devi said, I understand in detail, Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated in brief by the Blessed One thus. One should do no evil in all the world, not by speech, mind or body. Having abandoned sense pleasures, mindful and clearly comprehending, one should not pursue a cause that is painful and harmful. That's the end of the sutta. Here the Buddha says, he has abandoned reckoning. Reckoning means consideration or regard. You can say he has abandoned reckoning. Let me see. Does not assume conceit, does not have an I.